Auburn Tigers entered this season with hopes of a national championship. But those hopes were dampened 2 weeks ago on a soggy field in Knoxville, Tennessee. Their dash for the crown stunted, Auburn has rerouted its championship drive to a smaller scale, winning the Southeastern Conference. These Tigers know their recent Sugar Bowl tradition is at stake. Where they once were the hunted, they are now the hunters. Was supposed to be the year record-breaking Cajun quarterback Tommy Hodson returned LSU to the Sugar Bowl. But the Bayou Bengals have been blindsided early. It's left them stunned and angry, but not out of it. And today they can flip their misfortunes around with a win at Auburn. Today it's Tiger on Tiger. Auburn and LSU coming up next. CFA action takes you southbound on Interstate 85 from Atlanta. You cross the Alabama border and you find a football hotbed. At Auburn, many have circled this date for a year. They've circled the War Eagle wagons. Some have camped out for days for this grudge match and rematch between last year's co-champions in the SEC. It's LSU against 12th ranked Auburn. Stadium rising above the Alabama plains like a Manhattan skyscraper. And today it'll be filled 85,000 strong for an SEC survival test. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. I'm Jim Nance. What we have here is a must-win situation for each team. They were co-champs a year ago, but now they've each been straddled with an early conference loss. The loser can erase any hopes of a title, as no team has won the SEC before with 2 losses. The feeling of urgency is apparent here at Auburn, as this morning they showed once again their noted school spirit. They have the Tiger Walk from the football dormitory to Jordan-Hare Stadium. They march past the fans onto the stadium. And right now, let's take you inside Jordan-Hare and up the tunnel. We take you backstage to our Pat Hayden. Pat, what we have here, 2 teams with similar disappointments, but different records. Auburn with 1 loss. LSU has only 1 win.
Well, you are right, Jimmy, because both these teams came into this year with very high expectations, but lots of question marks as well. And the questions really centered around leadership and what kind of personalities these teams were going to develop. Now, here we are halfway through the year, and they're still looking for that leadership. Now, as LSU gathers themselves the last few minutes in their locker room before the game, guys like Tommy Hodson wonder if today is going to be the day that the personality develops on this football team. And for Auburn, as you can see, as they gather and get ready to run out in this field, they too are looking for leadership. And we talked to John Wiley this week, who said he called a team meeting to talk about what this team needs this week.
We all got together and called the defense together, had a team meeting. And we talked about some of the things that we're lacking. For it's the physical toughness of the game, the excitement, the enjoyment of the game. I think a lot of players are afraid to lead. For us young guys, they feel that they have to be in the backgrounds when they can step forward too.
So John Dockery, both teams looking for leadership, and as the Auburn team gets ready to run out in this field, they hope that leadership is going to be developed today.
And Pat, some of that leadership has to come from the men with the ball, the quarterbacks. For Auburn, Reggie Slack has to do more. He'll be asked to do more. He'll run more, he'll pass more, and he'll take more control of his offense. For LSU, it's simple. Tommy Hodson is the man. So goes Tommy Hodson, so goes LSU. This game last year came down to the quarterback position. Under 2 minutes, LSU trailing. Hodson found Fuller in the end zone for a 12-yard touchdown. LSU 7-6 over Auburn, and Auburn's chance and dream of a national championship was shattered. So, Greg Gumbel, when you send it back from New York, you're going to see 2 of the finest quarterbacks in the country in a battle for survival in the SEC.
Coach Mike Archer leading his LSU Tigers down the tunnel toward the field. An anxious bunch from Auburn, ready to emerge to the delight of 85,000 plus. Mike Archer has called this the toughest stretch I've ever gone through. As Pat Hayden noted, Auburn looking for leadership and chemistry today. LSU Tigers trying to rebound after a 1-3 beginning. Auburn has talked all week about last year's one-point setback at LSU. Auburn truly feels a win last year over LSU would have had them playing for a national championship come bowl time. Pat Dye, in his 9th year at Auburn, getting set for the survival test we build between LSU and Auburn. It's the 26th meeting between these two that have dominated the Southeastern Conference in recent years.
CBS Sports presents college football. Live from Jordan-Hare Stadium in Auburn, Alabama, it's the LSU Fighting Tigers versus the Auburn Tigers.
Cloudy skies today. We're on the periphery of Tropical Storm Jerry stirring up in the Gulf, but still good football weather at Auburn. As we get underway, the Auburn Tigers won the toss and elected to receive. Pedro Suarez boots it for LSU, bouncing out of the end zone, and the Auburn Tigers will start from their own 20. Reggie Slack's thrown 8 touchdowns this year, only 4 interceptions. He's the quarterback, and joined in the backfield by Joseph and Danley. The two tailbacks usually alternate. They'll both be in there as starters today. The speedster Alexander Wright and Greg Taylor are the receivers. Auburn 3-1 on the year. Its only loss 2 weeks ago at Tennessee, 21-14. Shifting around. Danley on a wing. Joseph the setback. Joseph the carry. And a first down on the first play of the game. 14 yards for James Joseph. The LSU defense. Mark Boutte is the nose tackle. Pair of outstanding defensive tackles for the Tigers, Carl Dunbar and Clint James. The linebackers inside, David Walkup, a freshman, and Verge Osbury. And on the outside, Oliver Lawrence and Miguel Ventros. 1st and 10 Auburn from the 35. Danley taking the pitch for 3 yards off the left side. Walkup and Lawrence on the tackle for LSU. He's running behind the left side of that Auburn line. Let's meet the offensive lineman for the Auburn Tigers. A good one. John Hudson is the center. Ed King, only a sophomore, very well known. And Mark Rose, the other guard. Meeks and Selby are the tackles. Tied in today is Victor Hall, a junior, starting in place of the injured senior Pat Autry. 2nd down and 6 after the 4-yard carry by Danley. Slack rolling right. He'll keep it. Near a first down at the 43-yard line. Oliver Lawrence falls on him. Slack looking to throw on that play, tucked it under. Looking in on that secondary of LSU, Jimmy Young and Wayne Williams are on the corners. The safeties, Corey Raymond and Tommy Fabacher. A yard short, Auburn, 3rd and 1. Shane Wasden comes in as a receiver along with Pedro Cherry. It's a pitch to Joseph, getting a good block and a first down near midfield. Walkup cut him under, but it's a first down for Auburn.
Well, I tell you, this conference, Jim, the Southeastern Conference, you'll win with defense. However, Auburn gives you the most balanced offense, I think, in all the conference. They can run with power as they did there on 3rd and short. They can get that 1 and 2 tough yards with 2 big backs, but they can get the ball uptown as well. So it's a very difficult team to defend because of that balance.
We saw them spread it out when they were trailing Tennessee 2 weeks ago, go to a 4-receiver set and move it right down the field for a touchdown. Slack on first down, completes to Danley, and he's near another first at the LSU 41-yard line. A gain of 9 just short of the first down. Again, Lawrence and Walkup make the LSU tackle.
And this is what you're going to see a lot from today is these little short passes because the defensive players play real soft and they drop deep. The LSU linebackers drop very deep, and so they throw the underneath routes to them to the back, Stacey Danley. They feel they can do that with the backs and the tight end.
Tony Russell and Dale Overton have come in as receivers. On 2nd and 1, slack to throw. He's going long for Russell. Russell almost makes the catch at the 2-yard line. Wayne Williams was on the coverage. Little used Tony Russell coming in on that play, and he was thrown to immediately, the speedster. Let's go down to the sidelines now. A report from John Dockery. John?
And Pat Hayden, I think you hit it on the head when you said balanced offense. Moments before the kickoff, I spoke with Pat Sullivan, the quarterback coach here at Auburn, and he said you'll see a much more balanced offense. We're taking the wraps off, and we're going to open it up today. You see the effects already in the Auburn offense. Back to you, Jim.
Pat Sullivan, 1971 Heisman Trophy winner, quarterback coach here. 3rd and 1, Danley gets the carry out of the full backfield, full house backfield. He picks up another Auburn first down at the 37.
It's kind of an unusual play there, Jim. On 3rd and short, they pulled a guard, Ed King, number 67, who lined up at right guard and pulled all the way around and led the way for Danley. Usually on short yardage, you're going straight ahead in the block, but they have so much confidence in Ed King and his ability to get deep on the pull and then make some room for Danley. That's what they called there.
Ed King, only a sophomore. Sports Illustrated's already put him on their 1995 All-Pro team. Danley on first down. Inside the 35, he goes up the middle.
What you're going to see from LSU on defense in this game, Pete Jenkins, their defensive coordinator, I think one of the best in the country. His philosophy is all he cares about is scoring defense. They let you gain some first yards. They try to keep things in front of them. No big plays, but they get tougher and tougher as you go down the field. They just don't want you in the end zone. They don't care about first downs.
He calls it a conservative defense. We just don't want to give up the big play or points. We'll give up the yardage. Joseph running up the middle. About a yard short of the first down. Carl Dunbar makes the stop for LSU.
Talking about that defense, Jim, is, you know, you look at stats, the quarterbacks that play against this LSU defense, they always have good stats. They throw for a lot of yards, and guys may run for yards. But if you look at the point totals, people just don't score a lot of points on them.
Well, last year it was a 7-6 game. In fact, Pat Dye has coached 100 games at Auburn, and only 4 times have his team failed to score a touchdown. The last time coming last year. Auburn, 2 field goals against LSU. And on 3rd and 1, Oliver Lawrence coming in and making the tackle immediately on James Joseph. The Tigers of Auburn are short of the first down.
Boy, and that was the first time that there was any penetration defensively. And Oliver Lawrence, there's Pete Jenkins, the defensive coordinator, who had Oliver Lawrence that time on a stunt move. He came low and stopped him on 3rd down.
You talk about Auburn looking for leadership and chemistry. Pat Dye giving him the green light here on 4th down. This could gain confidence for this team. They have the first down. James Joseph finally spun down by Tommy Fabacher. But a big block by Bob Meeks.
And you know, it was a nice call, Jim. Earlier on short yardage, they ran left into the tackle to tackle. This time, the pitch play, which gives James Joseph all sorts of different opportunities to find a call. So I think 2 unusual short yardage calls thus far in the game by Auburn. Once having a guard pull, that time going wide on a sweep.
James Joseph out of Phoenix City, Alabama. Same high school as Ed King. 1st and 10, Danley. Maybe a yard. Mark Boutte and the whole defensive front of LSU in on the tackle.
Like this LSU defense, what they try to do is get a lot of guys around the ball, and then when one guy gets him up, other guys will try to strip the ball. It was number 70, I think, there, Clint James, who made the strip.
Victor Hall makes the recovery. Couldn't even see it into that wall until the replay. But the recovery by Auburn. 2nd and 8. Joseph. hit by Miguel Ventros from Port Arthur, Texas.
Well, what a nice play by Ventros, the outside linebacker, number 53. He plays to the wide side of the field, and you need an athlete out there playing outside linebacker. Watch number 53. He fights off a block that they try to cut him. He tried to go low. You see Danley, but he fights that off with some real strong hand. Then he hems Danley in where he can get some help. But he did two great things: fought off the block and then kept outside containment.
Ventros from Port Arthur's Jefferson High School, the same one that Jimmy Johnson played his high school football at. John Hudson snaps it to Slack. Slack across the middle. Hall, he's inside of the 10, but short of the first down.
Again, a nice opening drive by Auburn, but again, typical LSU defense. Once you get down inside the 30-yard line, they're very tough to get the ball into the end zone on.
So Win Lyle will attempt the field goal of 26 yards. Dickinson on the hole. Travis Galloway will snap it back to Dickinson. Lyle 6 for 7 on the year in field goals. He's a good one. High snap. Dickinson gets it down, and Lyle nails it. Good job on the hole by Chris Dickinson to bring it back down. Auburn scores on its opening drive. Well, legend has it here that Auburn football and the cry of War Eagle came on the same day. Started football in 1892. They traveled across the state, played at Georgia. An opening drive, netting a field goal for Auburn. Jim Von Weil kicks off. Todd Kinchin, Calvin Wyndham, the return men for LSU. Short kick. Fielded on the sidelines by Kinchin. He stepped out right after he caught it. He stepped out of bounds at the 12-yard line. Tommy Hodson is the quarterback of the LSU Tigers. Needs one touchdown pass to tie Kerwin Bell for the all-time record in the SEC. Victor Jones starts today at fullback. Eddie Fuller is the running back. Wide receivers Alvin Lee and Tony Moss, top receiver in the Southeastern Conference. Hodson, an outstanding record as a starter. He's thrown 8 touchdowns, 5 interceptions on the year. First and 10. Fuller, only a yard. Hit first by Walter Tate, and Lamar Rogers moved in on him as well. This Auburn defense also looking for leaders, and today they're starting a freshman, Walter Tate, from Decatur, Georgia, at nose tackle. David Rocker on the defensive line with Lamar Rogers. The linebackers inside, Crawford and Riggins, and on the outside, Ogletree and Elton Billingsley. 2nd and 9. Kinchin is a receiver for LSU. Fuller, again only a yard. Hammered by Crawford and Riggins.
Beginning to look a little bit more like find a crease here if you're the tailback. There's number 56, early Crawford, makes the first hit, and then Riggins, the other inside linebacker, makes the play. Both inside linebackers read the guards and then made the play.
3 receiver set for LSU on 3rd and 8. Kinchin, the extra receiver, with Moss and Lee. Dumping it off to Fuller. Oh. And the screen pass picks up the first down.
Boy, did he get ripped by Eric Ramsey.
Wow. Eric Ramsey making the tackle, but first in LSU, first down. Blake Miller is the center. Ruffin Rodriguez and Jim Cubics are the tackles. Hutchinson and Packnett are the tackles. Ronnie Halliburton, a senior, is the tight end for Louisiana State University. First and 10 for the Fighting Tigers from their own 24. Eddie Fuller getting used heavily early, maybe a yard. Riggins and Crawford, the inside linebackers for Auburn, on the tackle. You'll hear them all day today. In the secondary for Auburn, Eric Ramsey, who had the big hammer hit a moment ago, and Corey Barlow. Dennis Wallace starts today at strong safety. John Wiley, the only returning starter in the secondary for Auburn this year. The defense that lost 8 starters in all off last year's defense that led the nation in practically every defensive statistical category. Second down. Fuller past the 30.
Jim, what this LSU offense wants to do early is to get Tommy Hodson some confidence. When they've gotten in trouble this year is they've come out and tried to throw the ball too much in the first quarter, and they've gotten him sacked. They wanted to run the ball. Even if they have to punt the ball here in this first series, they want to run, and then throw some safe screen passes like they did to Eddie Fuller.
Richard Shea in on the defensive line for Auburn, along with Fernando Horn and John Wilson. They're alternating defensive linemen today at Auburn. Hodson swinging it over to Moss. Moss caught from behind and goes out of bounds at the 43-yard line. Corey Barlow grabs him from the back of the jersey. An 11-yard gain for LSU.
Boy, too big of a cushion there on 3rd and 2. But watch the block by the outside receiver, number 26, Alvin Lee. He blocks the man that is supposed to cover Tony Moss. And then the defensive back, number 12, Barlow, is just too far off on 3rd and 2. That's an easy first down. You got to play closer on 3rd and 2.
Tony Moss, the 4th all-time receiver at LSU. 1st and 10. Hodson, play action fake. Throwing, drilling across the middle. It's Moss again. Another first down for LSU at the Auburn 42-yard line. Barlow and Wiley on the hit, but Hodson found Tony Moss open across the middle for 15 yards.
All Tommy Hodson cares about is winning. And he does that by trying to find guys like Tony Moss right here, who's going to run the hook route. Great protection here for Hodson, and then he steps up and drills the ball early inside to Moss.
Hodson 3 for 3 on this opening possession, handing it off to Fuller. Scooting to the 38-yard line. Crawford hit him first. Riggins there to finish him off. How about the fact Auburn defensively today changing around on its defensive front?
What Auburn, Wayne Hall, the defensive coordinator for Auburn, what he likes to do is have a series of 6 or 7 guys playing the defensive line positions. And guys will play 3 or 4 downs, but he wants them playing hard every single down during that 4 downs. And he thinks in the 4th quarter, they're going to be fresh and win ball games where you do in the SEC.
2nd down and 5. Hodson passes high for Moss. Incomplete. Eric Ramsey looked up a little bit late, the corner for Auburn. He could have picked it off possibly.
You know, Tony Moss is listed at 5'7", but he says, I'm 5'8" with my shoes on. But you see a little bit of the problem there when you're trying to throw a slant route to a guy who's only 5'7", 5'8", and you have to throw it over a bunch of linebackers. Talked about the Auburn coaches, Wayne Hall, the hat there on the right of your screen, the defensive coordinator, did a marvelous job with the down people for Auburn.
3rd down and 5. Lee to the left, Moss to the right. Hodson with good protection going for Moss. He has it. First down at the 20. 18 yards.
They got something to cheer about, these LSU fans, because Tommy Hodson is getting terrific protection here this far in this drive, Jim. And that protection has allowed him to come off the secondary receivers. Moss was not the primary receiver on that one.
Wes Jacob comes in, replacing Moss on this play. He's lined up at the top of your screen, Pinson at the bottom. And Jacob in motion on 1st and 10. Fuller, a gain of 7. Lamar Rogers and Elton Billingsley combine on the tackle.
So what a nice little drive here by LSU. They've done it. Mike Archer's team has done it throwing the football over the middle. They've run it with some power, and they've gotten outside on some screens as well. But one of their offensive linemen, Jim, I think it's Ruffin Rodriguez, is injured on the play.
He trying to limp off the field. He's fallen to the ground once. A 3-year starter, Rodriguez. He goes out. Darren Landry comes in. Also on this drive, Packnet, the right tackle, is out with an injury, and Andy Martin's in to replace him.
Well, I tell you, the offensive line has had some problems, but thus far in the game, this year, but thus far in the game, they've been terrific.
And they've held the ball for over 5 minutes on this drive. 2nd and 3. Staying with Fuller. And coming up a yard short of the first. Ogletree and Rogers meet him at the line. Then he picks up 2. Eddie Fuller, the tailback. This was a position, tailback, that was reserved for Harvey Williams. Very highly recruited running back 3 years ago. Was the top running back for LSU in '86 and '87 before a severe knee injury.
Jim, in a very important 3rd and 2 for this LSU offense, playing in a hostile environment. They need to keep this drive alive and get the ball into the end zone.
Fuller sidesteps one defender, picks up the first. LSU is 4 for 4 on 3rd down conversions on this drive. And Tony Moss, a little shaken up.
Yeah, that's the man they need. They have to have him today. He is their big play receiver. But again, excellent power surge by that offensive line, which there's Moss limping off, but excellent surge by that offensive line, Jim. That's what LSU has not had much of thus far this year, but they've had it today.
Only a minute and 15 seconds left in the first quarter. Each team with only one possession. Ball control. First and goal, Fuller. Caught behind the line. Lamar Rogers. A loss of 3.
Lamar Rogers has big-time ability. He's a guy with very quick feet and acceleration. 270 pounds, yet he still is going to make the play inside. And here, too. Watch the penetration by all the blue jerseys. But it's number 91. Right there, Lamar Rogers, who fights off a block and then uses that acceleration to make the play.
Second and goal from the 9. Rodriguez back in at left guard. On the delay, the give. Victor Jones down at the 4. Barlow tackles him at the 4.
Victor Jones said this week, every time my number is called to carry the ball, I'm shocked. Because he's used primarily as a blocker, but Mike Archer's got a very nice drive going here. He's used both his fullback and his tailback. Eddie Fuller made a nice block on that one. They've tossed the ball around to different receivers, and that's what you need to do against a pretty good Auburn defense.
You're right, Pat. That was only the 11th carry this year for the starting fullback today, Victor Jones. What a quick first quarter it has been. LSU facing 3rd and goal when we come back to start the second quarter. Auburn leading with a field goal. We're at Jordan-Hare Stadium, one of the 5 largest on-campus stadiums in the country. Auburn and LSU, co-champs a year ago, and now each team trying to stay alive in the SEC here in mid-October. Let's get a report from John Dockery. Doc, what's up?
Jim Nance, quick injury report from the LSU sidelines. Good news for the Tigers. Ruffin Rodriguez and Robert Packneck, 2 of their starting offensive linemen, okay. Rodriguez got kicked. Packneck sprained his ankle, but they'll both be back in the game. Now back to you, Jim.
All right, John. They'll need him here. It's 3rd and goal from the 4-yard line.
Well, you know, Jim, this is a situation where LSU is a little bit different than a lot of teams in college football. They are not afraid to use their tight ends down here. Halliburton and Williams, their tight ends, have caught 3 touchdowns. They're big targets. And when you have 3rd and goal from this part of the field, it's not a bad throw inside to a big target.
LSU going right into the Auburn student body. This is the first game since the students came back for the fall semester in late September. Moss is back in there also after being shaken up. Hodson chased out of there and sacked by Fernando Horn.
When you're battling for survival, Jim, as you talked about at the top of the show, it takes big plays to win a game like this. And Fernando Horn, that is a big play. His 5th sack of the year.
David Browndyke, 31-yard field goal attempt. Browndyke, a good one. He is 6 for 6 now on the year. Browndyke, top kicker in history at LSU, and he has tied the game at 3 as we've just started the second quarter. You'll find a lot of vocal crowds in the SEC. We're in the heart of the Southeastern Conference. Talk about small towns and big crowds. Auburn's population, 32,500, but not on game day. On game day, they sell it out here. It becomes the 5th largest city come game day in the state of Alabama. Pedro Suarez handles the kickoff chores for LSU. Booted the last one through the end zone. This one bouncing at the 10, picked up by number 10, James Joseph. Has a wedge. A 26-yard return to the 29-yard line. Another report, John Dockery.
Jim Nance, we just got a late update on the right tackle LSU, Robert Patnick, the man who sprained his ankle. Well, they taped it, he tried it, he didn't do that well, so they took him into the locker room to try to work on it again. We'll keep you updated on him. Back to you, Jim.
Well, that's a man, John, that they really need in pass protection. He's done a nice job at right tackle protecting the onside for Tommy Hudson this game.
Only the second time Auburn's had the football. We're in the second quarter. Slack. Play action fake to Danley, dumping it off to Danley. And he gets near the 40-yard line, a yard short of the first down. Ausberry and Boutte keep him a yard short of the first.
If Reggie Slack wants to throw that pass, it is there all day long. That pass is all day long. Even with play action fake there, the linebackers still got deep. They took the inside routes away, then he just dumped the ball to Danley as he checked over the middle. If he's wide open, it will be all day.
Passing efficiency, Slack is the leader right now in the SEC. James Joseph carrying, picking up the first, and taking about half the LSU defenders with him to the 44-yard line. It's a backfield today with Danley and Joseph starting, normally going with a fullback, Alex Strong, and then alternating with Danley and Joseph, but Pat Dye deciding today perhaps to open it up a bit with these two at the same time.
I think if you're going to have a good team, you need unselfish players, and James Joseph is one of the most unselfish guys you're going to meet. He moved from tailback to fullback to block without any complaints.
1st and 10. Slack swinging it over to Alexander Wright. Gets away from one defender and picks up a first down in LSU territory at the 43-yard line.
Did you see Bob Meeks, the tackle, get out there? He is 6'2", 280 pounds, and he was leading the way there for Wright. Take a look. He's going to get out and lead the screen there. And again, this is a guy who can be physical, run the inside, and everybody will talk about the catch and the throw. But watch number 70, all 270 pounds of him hustling out there. Didn't knock Williams down, but he was out and let him get the first down. It's a nice play by Meeks.
And Wright made a nice move getting away from Ventress, the first tackler. A gain of 13 and a first down. Danley for 4. Tackled by Ausberry.
That's the area of the defense that Pete Jenkins, the defensive coordinator from LSU, is so concerned about. He feels they've been soft right down the middle, and they need to get some real strong play today from their nose tackle, Mark Boutte, if they're going to have a chance of slowing down the inside game of Auburn.
When we visited this week with Coach Mike Archer in Baton Rouge, he told us that Boutte had been warned he's going against a 60-minute player in John Hudson, the center for Auburn. Second down to give to Strong, Alex Strong.
What a nice play by Boutte right there, Jim. He ran right around Hudson to make the play. You know, nose tackles can do it different ways. They can try to overplay you, and sometimes they can hook around you. Watch right here, Boutte is just going to slip right around Hudson's block. This is what makes center so difficult. You have to snap the ball, and then you have to get a guy who's about an inch away from your face mask. But Boutte did a great job of using that speed and quickness to hop around Hudson and make the play.
Joseph, the tailback now, and getting the pitch on 3rd and 3, and picking up the first down. An open hole over there. Robbie Green coming in at free safety, making the tackle at the 32-yard line. Colorado today putting up 45 points in the first half against Iowa State. And they've added a touchdown now in the 3rd.
A little bit like Auburn, they can do it a lot of different ways, running the football and throwing the football as well.
A&M's gone up early on explosive Houston.
Houston usually has about 21 points by now, don't they?
Maybe they haven't had the football yet. 1st and 10, Danley inside of the 30 to the 26-yard line. Nebraska and Colorado appear headed for a showdown November 4 in Boulder.
What Stacey Danley does such a nice job of, Jim, is getting on the edge of defenders. Now, he's not going to break too many 80-yard runs for you, but you don't really get too many clean shots at it. because he just gives you a hip or an arm or a leg, and after he gets hit, he's going to gain 2 or 3 extra yards.
Joseph now lining up in the backfield, taking the pitch, running right to the 23. We've talked about this being a survival test. Well, let's hear it from center John Hudson.
If we don't win it, we have no chance of going back to New Orleans. But if we do, if we keep finding ways to win, I think we've got a good chance of ending up either in New Orleans or somewhere just as good with half the title.
The most tenacious center in the Southeastern Conference.
3rd and short. Joseph fumbled the football. Ball is loose and recovered by the LSU Tigers at the 20-yard line. Robbie Green, a freshman from Gretna, Louisiana, on the recovery.
It's almost like this LSU defense invites you to get into scoring territory, and then they really begin to play. And again, a couple of guys stop him first, and then the ball gets stripped, and number 28, Green, is there to make recovery. Good team defense inside the 20.
Each team has driven it down the field for field goals. Win Lyle for Auburn, David Browndyke for LSU, and now the Auburn Tigers driving again. Cough up the football at the 20-yard line of LSU, and the LSU Tigers take over. Boutte, we had talked about, stripped the ball loose, and Robbie Green made the recovery. Edloff in the backfield with Calvin Wyndham. And Wyndham, the backup running back, picks up 3 on the first down carry. John Dockery, what do you have for us?
Jim Nance, remember last year, the great defensive line of Auburn, names like stalwart Tracy Rocker, and this man, Benji Rowland. And Benji, defensive line, this one's a young one. How long before the chemistry is there?
Well, I think to be a successful defensive line, and you know, I think it takes a year of playing together and then a good spring. And, you know, there's a lot of talent on this defensive line, and they just need to experience some game-type situations and working hard together.
Thank you, Benji. Jim?
2nd down and 7. Hodson to Moss at the 40. And tackled by Wayne Bilesma. But a 19-yard gain on the pass play from Hodson.
Jimmy, that is a nice throw. A great pattern by Tony Moss. And say the ball gets out of Tommy Hodson's hand very quickly. And watch Moss. But the great thing Moss doesn't do, he's going to come down and run right down the line. He doesn't drift off into center field. He comes right back to meet the ball and catches it right at his numbers. A lot of guys will drift off into the linebacker, but see, he prevented the interception by coming back to the ball.
Coming back, Wyndham hit in the backfield by Larry Young, freshman from Lakeland, Florida.
And this Auburn defense can create a lot of negative plays. 21 sacks on the year. They've created a lot of tackles for losses. Larry Young just had one there. And so when you have a long drive against this Auburn defense, a lot of times you have to overcome 2nd and 12 or 3rd and 15.
Well, Young's tackle a loss of 3 on the play. 2nd and 13. Moss with 4 catches already for 63 yards at the bottom of your screen. Hodson kind of looking his way, now looking for a backup receiver. And stepping out near the first down. His primary man was Moss, looked him off, and then tucked it under. Near a first down at midfield. We'd like to alert our stations that we will be taking a station break on our next break. It'll be a local station break on our next one. Ball is right at the 50. 3rd and 1. Tension right. Moss in a slot right. Lining up in the I. Wyndham the tailback. Wyndham gets the call and the first down. Looking around the SEC, Alabama, 2nd quarter. Homecoming day for the Crimson Tide, leading by a touchdown. Gary Darnell in his first game as coach at Florida, leading over Vanderbilt. Georgia up in the 4th on Mississippi. First and 10 for LSU. 46-yard line of Auburn. Hodson. Wobbly pass over the middle. Over the head of Moss. Ogletree with pressure in the backfield on Tommy Hodson.
Well, it was the first time, really, that Hodson has had a lot of pressure on him. He's upset with himself because he knew that he had an open receiver, but Hodson has been getting tremendous protection by his offensive line, and it's allowed him to come back to his second and third receivers. It's just too much time for the defensive backs to keep their guys covered.
Tommy Hodson, starter as a freshman when he threw 19 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. High expectations ever since for Hodson. Victor Jones going up against that Auburn wall. Walter Tate in there along with the rest of that defensive line.
Look at the big circle. That's how large a circle you need to get around the barbecue. That's the freshman Walter Tate. He is going to be a great player, I think, at Auburn over the next 4 years. 309 pounds. He's a great athlete. Can stuff a basketball. Runs under 5 flat. And he can run pretty fast to the dinner table, too.
Taken out on this play. This is his first start today. Richard Shea comes in for him on 3rd down. Hodson rifles it to Moss on a first down just inside the 30. Eric Ramsey on the coverage.
You know why offensive linemen like Tommy Hodson? Because he prevented a sack there just by stepping up into the pocket. Craig Ogletree was about to sack Tommy Hodson. But watch how he steps up. And then Ogletree runs right behind him. See that? Just 2 steps up in the pocket prevents a sack. And offensive linemen love to see that. It takes some courage to do that. And Hodson's got lots of it.
He's got that quick release, like a number 13 down at Miami. Dan Marino. 1st and 10, Hodson running for a first down. He may have it at the 19. Talk about playing under the microscope. That has certainly been the case for Tommy Hodson at LSU since that outstanding freshman year.
You know, it's a sad state of affairs, I think, in college football. A year ago, he leads his team to an 8-4 record, throws for over 2,000 yards. They are co-champions of the SEC, but he's made to feel like he had a bad year. I think he had a real good year.
He's been booed at home. 2nd and 1. Egloff and Wyndham in the backfield. The pitch to Wyndham. He won't get it. Lamar Rogers and Ogletree on the tackle.
Jimmy, this is going to be a close ball game, a game I think that will be decided in the 4th quarter. So it's very important. Anytime you have a chance to score down here, you get something on the board.
And a timeout called by the LSU Tigers. Again, station break time coming up. We're in Auburn, Alabama, tied at 3. Back after this word from your local stations. And a penalty.
Snap, we had illegal movement of the ball by the center. Still 3rd down and 6.
That's just the first flag we've seen today. Backing it up to the 25-yard line, now 3rd and 6.
Yeah, that's a big penalty, though. You go from 3rd and 1 in scoring territory to 3rd and 6. That is a critical penalty for the LSU Tigers.
Lee to the left. Moss in the slot left. 4 receiver set now for LSU, and Auburn sees it and calls a timeout. So, on this drive, each team has taken a timeout. 5:49 left in the first half.
That's John Wiley, the free safety of Auburn. Moments ago, you heard him say that Tommy Hodson was the best. But he also said to us yesterday that he thought he could watch Tommy Hodson's eyes because he looked at his primary receiver. Well, today, Hodson is even better because he's looking off Wiley and looking off the free safety and doing a job. That's part of the problem for the Auburn defense. Jim?
3rd down and 6 here for that defense. LSU at the 25 of Auburn. Under pressure, the blitz is beaten with a little dump-off pass to Fuller, but he does not pick up the first down. He's about a yard short. Darryl Crawford.
Well, I said that it just took some poise just to get that ball off. There were 3 or 4 blue jerseys from the get-go all over Tommy Hodson. It looks like they're going to go for it here on 4th and 1.
Auburn went for it 4th down in the opening quarter, made it. Eddie Fuller, I believe he has it. He got to the 18-yard line, running it David Rucker.
Boy, give Blake Miller and Jim Yuba some real credit. It is 4th and 1, and the fullback right there, too, Igloff, number 36, made a nice block. But again, it's low man wins on those short yardage situations. This team, although they have lost 3 games, they have been in all 3 of those games in the fourth quarter.
Have not come up with the big play, which has been in the past customary for LSU in that fourth quarter. Thus, they're 1 and 3. On first down, Fuller fumbles. Hodson on the trail, and he falls on it. Heads up, Tommy Hodson.
Hey, what caused that fumble was tremendous penetration on the outside by Auburn. That forced Fuller to go wide, and then the ball came loose. And this defense, Jimmy, is a stunning defense. Watch the penetration that really forces Fuller to go wide, and Hodson isn't expecting him to go that wide. It was number 47, Billingsley, and then Hodson alertly jumped on the ball.
Another long possession. 2nd and 14. Hodson's pass batted down. Batted down by Billingsley. Elton Billingsley got a paw on it.
This is one of those little things that this Auburn team has done for years, is tip a lot of balls. Billingsley made a great interception against Tennessee a couple of weeks ago. But when you have a quarterback who's only taking a 5-step drop, you're not going to sack him. You got to get the paws up. And they can actually hit him right in the helmet. But get those hands up.
They got the face guard up on that one. 3rd and 14. Delay to Fuller. Only to the 17-yard line. Quentin Riggins wrapped him up. And Browndyke will come back out on the field for another field goal attempt.
Again, Mike Archer, he'll take some grief about that call on 3rd and 14, but again, he knows this is going to be a fourth quarter game. He doesn't want to turn the ball over. He wants to get down here and get something on the ball, on the scoreboard.
Browndyke has not missed this year. This is 33 yards. Hit a 31-yarder earlier in this quarter. Bad snap. Mook, the holder, couldn't find the handle. Now dumps it off toward Browndyke. And it's an incompletion. The snap from Frank Godfrey. And Chris Mook, a backup quarterback, had to dance around with it.
Well, Godfrey threw a knuckleball back there, and Mook just did a nice job of trying to make something happen. But there's nowhere to go as 4 or 5 blue jerseys around him.
We'll now announce this week's Toyota Leadership Award winners from each team, players who have been singled out by the school's coaching and faculty staff for outstanding performance in team contributions, academics, and citizenship. Today's game team leadership winners: Shane Wasden from Auburn. Shane, a social science education major from Selma, Alabama. And Tommy Hodson from LSU. Tommy is a general studies major from Matthews, Louisiana. And Toyota donates a check in the amount of $1,000 to each school's general scholarship fund. Auburn takes over from its own 16. Tie game 3-3. 3.5 minutes left in the first half. Taylor in motion. Out of the eye, the give to Danley. Maybe a yard. Hit by Clint James initially. Texas and Oklahoma in Texas, after struggling last week to beat Rice, up early on the Sooners. 2nd down play, James Joseph, only to the 19, tackled again by Clint James.
Jim, let's go back to the field goal miss a little while ago. Watch the ball has come back. It's really a knuckleball. It's end over end, so Chris Mook, even though it's the right height, it's a very tough ball to catch. It was a funny snap. It came at the right height, but it went end over end, went right through his arms, and Frank Godfrey was the center who couldn't get it back with a spiral. It's a tough catch.
Auburn with a 3rd and 8 from the 19. 4 receivers in the game for Reggie Slack. Slack across the middle. Dangerous pass as he led Greg Taylor a little too much. Osbury and Ventress in the area.
Nice job by the offensive line protecting Reggie Slack, but it was good coverage. Only the three-man rush. They dropped 8 in coverage. Very conservative defensive game plan, but it gave him plenty of time, and he actually had Taylor open, but threw it over his head.
Let's watch the snap now. Chris Dickinson will punt. Galloway, the snap. It's a good one. Dickinson is crashed. And the kick comes out to the 49-yard line. Flag down. They came crashing through LSU. On Dickinson, if you saw the Tennessee game a couple of weeks ago, you'll recall the 2 snaps over Dickinson's head for safeties.
And that's really what led them to try to think they could block a punt. They didn't believe they were getting many snaps back there to the punter. And it was Nigel Ventress, number 53, Jim, I think, who ran right into the punter.
Ran into Dickinson.
Personal foul on the play. Roughing the kicker. 15-yard automatic first down.
And that's a tough penalty there. But watch number 53, Ventress, come right up the middle. Almost got it. But you got to lay out a little bit earlier or take a different angle. You can't come straight at the punter. You have to come from the side so that you're not going to run into the guy.
Ray Adams came in on him also. 1st and 10 now, Auburn after the penalty. Slack to Danley. And Danley to the 43-yard line. A gain of 8 and tackled by Oliver Lawrence. Under 2 minutes. Under 2 minutes. Auburn with 2 timeouts remaining. Game tied 3-3. No huddle offense. 4 receivers for Slack. Guns it to the right sideline for Overton, incomplete.
It's kind of funny that they're running no huddle against this particular defense because LSU really doesn't change up. They don't play nickel defense. They basically play a 34 defense no matter what the situation. You're really not gaining much of an advantage by running the no huddle offense.
Well, the clock stops on the incompletion. 1:37 left of the second quarter. Now back to the I formation. And a carry by Danley on 3rd and short. And he has the first down. He had to get right to the 45-yard line. He inched past it for the first. At halftime, we'll have scores and highlights from the studio in New York. Greg Gumbel and Mike Francesa will run them through for you. Now back to the 4 receiver formation on 1st and 10. And Slack is tackled down by Oliver Lawrence. A sack on Slack. And a timeout called by Auburn. 1:20 left in the second quarter. Tied at 3. Bay Packers. I wonder if maybe that's in his contract. He has to go against Green Bay. If that's the case, look for him to be traded this week to Miami. And 2nd and 19. James Joseph out of bounds at the 45.
We have seen an offense, some very long drives here in the first half. That's why we've had a quick half. But now it's 3rd and about 11 or 12 yards for Auburn. The time with 1:13, still plenty of time, but the issue is 3rd and long and only 1 timeout remaining. Again, both these coaches know it's going to be a 4th quarter game. They need to get anything on the board, field goals or touchdowns. They're happy to take a field goal right now.
3rd and 11. Taylor and Moshe. Wasman, Overton, and Wright, the other receivers. On the run, the pass is caught. Caught by Dale Overton at the 36-yard line of LSU, a gain of 19. First down, no huddle offense.
1:03 remaining in the half, and again, with the 1 timeout, they still have plenty of time, still can get in position to get 3 or 4 throws into the end zone.
Lawrence coming in on Slack, and he gets him by the ankle. Oliver Lawrence, his 2nd sack on this possession.
What a difference he has made with the sacks, and as Auburn calls their last time out. But Oliver Lawrence is getting a tremendous jump on the ball and just gets on the corner of Ed King. Ed King's got to take him up a little bit earlier in the pass rush because he's got too much speed by the time he gets to Ed King. Those long arms, Jim, that reach right around Ed King to make the sack.
You know, you switch Oliver Lawrence's name around and you get Lawrence Olivier.
I just thought of that. Really, I didn't stay up all night working on that one, I promise.
No, I thought of it yesterday, but I decided I wasn't going to use it.
So with no timeouts remaining, Auburn has the football at the LSU 44. We've got a doubleheader next week coming your way. CFA action on CBS. Early, Tennessee. Volunteers off this week. They'll go into that game unbeaten, facing Alabama on the road. And then later in the day, we're proud to present USC and Notre Dame. What do you think of Notre Dame and Air Force tonight, Pat? How do you see that one?
Well, from Notre Dame's perspective, their fans, I think it's a scary game. D. Dallas, their quarterback at Air Force, is a scary guy. He is one of the great cutback runners in college football.
2nd and 18 after the sack from Lawrence. Now Slack again. Gets dropped for a sack by Kenny Davidson.
That's got to be a penalty. That has to be a penalty. There was no one even close to that ball.
I thought maybe they ruled him down first.
Now, there's no in the grasp in college football, as you're aware of.
And they're going to mark the penalty from the spot of the pass.
Had to be intentional grounding. And again, a bit surprised, Jim.
Intentional grounding on the play. 5-yard penalty plus loss of down. And bring up 3rd down.
You know, you can tell we're in the Southeastern Conference. But I'll tell you, well, this is a tough thing here for Reggie Slack, but I've been real surprised with the pass rush thus far of Kenny Davidson, number 77 of LSU.
See, I thought he had a knee down on that one. Nonetheless, 3rd and forever, and the ball gets only back to the 50, complete to Taylor. This drive just fizzles for the Auburn Tigers after getting as deep as the 36 of LSU. Now LSU calls a timeout with 27 seconds left before the intermission. We'll be back with more CFA football in just a moment.
And I'm known for my ability to cross this line. But you'll never see me anywhere near these lines. Be like Bo. Say no.
From Auburn, Alabama, just 27 seconds left in the first half. Auburn will punt from midfield. Chris Dickinson. They roughed him last time. Not charging through LSU this time. Moss on the return. Gets to the 20. 37-yard punt, an 8-yard return. LSU has one timeout remaining.
And the 16 seconds, and if they're thinking about trying to get something on the ball, what they're going to try to do is get the ball to a receiver on the move. You got to have a guy running a crossing route so that if he catches it, he has a chance of making a big play.
This is only the 3rd possession of the whole first half for LSU.
They've all been long possessions, haven't they? Both teams have really driven the ball well. Now they're going to run it out.
Hodson just dropping to a knee.
Strange that they called a timeout and then decided just to run the clock out. I thought they'd try to go after the punt block.
Lyle and Browndyke with field goals, and it's tied at the half, 3-3. Now we'll take it back to our New York studios. Greg Gumbel, our host back there on the College Football Report. There have been some injuries, we understand today, Greg, at Colorado. To LSU, tied at 3. Jim Von Weil kicks for Auburn. Wayne Williams and Calvin Wyndham flanked at the 5. Williams fields it at the 8. Racing up the right sideline and past the 30-yard line. Just moments ago, as LSU came back on the field, John Dockery spoke with Coach Mike Archer.
Coach, your 4th quarter this season hasn't been great for you. Did you talk to them about that halftime?
Yeah, we sure did. You know, John, we're in it 3-3, and we've made some mistakes, but we've lost 3 games in the 4th quarter, and that's the thing we talked about at halftime is we've tried to play some play in the first half, and it's probably going to come down to the 4th quarter.
What did you tell him specifically?
Basically, we got to play 60 minutes, and that's the most important thing. And lay it all out here. No regrets on Sunday. And if they can look themselves in the mirror and they can look at us tomorrow and say they left it out there, I'll be satisfied with that. Thanks, Coach.
Looking at a 2-yard run by Eddie Fuller on the first play of the second half. Darrell Crawford on the tackle.
Jim, looking at Mike Archer, you know, I've always thought of the Southeastern Conference as a conference of coaches. You think back of Bob Nealon and Bear Bryant and Chuck Jordan and Johnny Majors, Jerry Claiborne, Vince Dooley, of course, Pat Dye on the field. But the conference is changing. Young guys like Mike Archer doing a nice job in the conference.
Just his 3rd year as a head coach. 2nd down and 8. Hodson. Incomplete. Intended for Moss. Coverage by Billingsley. Barlow was in the area as that ball slipped through the fingers of Moss. Talking about young coaches, it's been reported by some that Archer is a candidate for the Florida job, and we talked to him about that this week, Pat.
Well, Bill Arnsparger, the athletic director of Florida, hired him when he was at LSU, and Mike talked to us about this week. He has actually talked to him on the phone, but not about the Florida job. They talked about some other things, but he has not talked to Arnsparger about that Florida job.
Of course, anyone interested in that job would wait and see if Florida gets dealt the death penalty. That is the first thing. How long will the investigation take from the NCAA? 3rd and 7. Hodson with time throwing. Ball is caught, but short of a first down. Moss on the reception at the 37-yard line. 6th reception for Moss. Time of possession pretty even. Just like the scoreboard. Can't get any closer.
That's a little bit surprising. The average yards per rush.
Rene Bourgeois is the punter for LSU. Wasden on the return for Auburn. Bourgeois boots it to the 14. Big kick. Wasden's return to the 27-yard line. 49-yard punt, 14-yard return. Tony Houston forced Wasden out. Auburn will come out for the first time in the second half. Reggie Slack in the first half, 8 for 12 passing and 63 yards, but was sacked a couple of times late in the first half.
And Jim, that's really been the surprise to me thus far in the first half. It really was the rush, the pass rush that LSU was able to generate, really only rushing 3 guys.
And really fueled by Oliver Lawrence, that rush. Slack's pass to Alexander Wright at the 34-yard line. Jimmy Young on the coverage. When Auburn had the football in the first half, drove it the first time, down for a field goal, and then fumbled at the 20-yard line of LSU on its second drive. A punt the 3rd time. And again, long possessions in terms of time, as each team only had it 3 times in the first half. 2nd and 2. James Joseph tripped up, trying to work his way to the first down. Oliver Lawrence on the tackle. Joseph about a yard short. Joseph 12 carries for 62 yards.
Well, Jim, you just mentioned Oliver Lawrence again. That it was another play where he really came off the corner of the defense, got some early penetration, and Joseph really had blocked for should have gotten the first down, but he got him low, and he fell down short of the first.
So it's 3rd and 1. Danley comes back in the eye as the tailback. Joseph the fullback. Pitch, Danley, first down Auburn. Stays on his feet to the 41-yard line. Tommy Fabaker on the tackle, but an Auburn first down.
Rushing attack of Auburn thus far. They like to run behind Ed King and Bob Meeks, and they'll move those guys from left side to right side. They don't just stay on one side, but really right up the middle. And that's what Pete Jenkins, the defensive coordinator from LSU, was concerned about. He thought they were soft or had been playing soft down the middle of their defense.
Ball resting at the 41. Wasden and Cherry are the receivers. 1st and 10. Slacked pass too low for James Joseph. But again, Oliver Lawrence was putting pressure on the quarterback.
Tommy Hodson waiting to get back on. He is a confident quarterback right now. And again, when you get a quarterback who is as talented as he is and who's confident on a day like this, you got something going for you.
I said in the first half he's got that quick release like a number 13 down at Miami.
Yeah.
Dan Marino, how do you think Tommy Hodson will be seen by the scouts, and where will he go in a draft?
You know, I think he's going to go highly, and I think he may be a better pro than he is a college player, just because he's going to have a better surrounding cast.
Oliver Lawrence will sack Reggie Slack once again.
Now, they have to find a solution to Oliver Lawrence. He is lining up at the open side of the formation. There's no tight end near him. And watch Oliver Lawrence. This is the 4th time he's had some great penetration right here. See, there's nobody on him. What you need to do is put a tight end over him, flip the formation so that he's not on the open side. He just goes right over James Joseph, number 10, who went too low, and he made the sack. But he can prevent that by putting the tight end to his side.
A loss of 9 on the play. 3rd and 19. Slack going short for Victor Hall, incomplete.
I hate to see the college crowds these days have turned a little bit like pro crowds. They're booing Reggie Slack here.
So now Dickinson comes in. Moss, the return man for LSU. Jimmy Young's also back there. Spiraling kick comes to Moss, 23-yard line. Moss gets some room. Cutting back to the middle. And a 22-yard return by Tony Moss sets up LSU at its own 45-yard line. This is the 50th year for Jordan-Hare Stadium, the home of the Auburn Tigers. It all started in 1939. At that time, it seated only 7,500 people. They built it on a hillside. And you can see through the years the growth of this stadium. Auburn, one of the largest on-campus stadiums in the nation. In fact, it's 5th. And now here it is today, seating 85,000. First game ever here was against Florida, November 30th, 1939. Played to a 7-7 tie 50 years ago. Now today against LSU, we're again in a deadlock at 3. 1st and 10 for LSU from its 45. Wyndham, a gain of 4, tackled by Larry Young. LSU's possessions in the first half. Well, first time LSU had the football, drove for a field goal by Brown Dyke. Then another long drive and turned it over on downs. Actually a mishap on a snapback on a field goal attempt. And then just one play before the half. Running out the clock.
It's incredible. He only had 3 possessions. Ordinarily in a game, you get 13 possessions in a game.
2nd and 7. Hodson looking for Lee. And over the head of Alvin Lee. Corey Barlow was the man trying to protect him, but Lee had some room past too high.
That is...
Third and 7 of the 48.
It's defensive coordinator Pete Jenkins of LSU said this is the youngest group he's had in his 10 years coaching in Baton Rouge. 3rd down, Hodson goes down. Fernando Horn, his 2nd sack today.
And you can see why Wayne Hall likes to substitute his defensive lineman. That is a very fresh Fernando Horn to get his 2nd sack. He is number 77, and look how fast he gets upfield. Just throws his man down in front of him and then fights through 2 more blockers. Really, Horn went through 3 different guys to get to Hodson.
Bourgeois will punt for the 2nd time here in this quarter. We're just inside of 10 minutes left in the 3rd. Tied 3-3. Kick will bounce at the 30. Favorable bounce it is for LSU and goes inside of the 10. Out of bounds at the 8. So the Auburn Tigers 92 yards away and tied at 3.
I tidbit on LSU history. Way back in 1952, Coach Tinsley had an idea to revolutionize the jersey numbers. His idea was to put the position as well as the number on the jersey. For example, thus ends and guards and tackles would be E, G, and T, followed by a simple digit number, right side even, left side odd. But an interesting idea, but it never worked. It was gone in a year. Back to you, Jim and Pat.
All right, Doc. The number jersey today that's really working for LSU, 99. Oliver Lawrence, 9 tackles and 3 sacks. 1st and 10 Auburn. Stacey Danley running it to the short side. Picks up 6. Picks up 6 to the 15. Wayne Williams makes the tackle. There's Oliver Lawrence.
And the amazing thing really about him thus far, Jim, has been the sacks. He's always been a real solid guy against the run, known as more of a run stopper, but he's really come off the corner well. And guys who tried to block him too low, he's just stepped over a couple of blockers to make the sacks.
Well, a little surprise brewing northwest of here, perhaps. Southwest Louisiana beating Alabama at the moment, 10-7. Alabama ranked 11th, Auburn's 12th. Danley on 2nd down, 4, gets the first and a lot more to the 28-yard line. A nice block by Chris Gray, the tight end, a gain of 13 on the carry by Danley.
And you're right, Gray and the tackle, Selby, number 78, does a nice job of blocking. Number 78 leads the play. He kicks out on the corner. The tight end knocked down number 86, Gray. And then Danley did a real good job of being very patient and following those blocks before he cut it up.
Stacey Danley, you get the feeling he wants to break a long one. He mentioned to us as long as Kerry Evers, 46 yards. Because I'm ready to get a long one.
Because I don't dip and duck much.
Slack. All right in the hands of Chris Gray. Incomplete at the 32-yard line.
Something Auburn ordinarily gets some pretty good production out of their tight ends, and Reggie Slack ordinarily likes to go to those guys on crossing routes. It looked like that time I think Slack was expecting him to run across the field, and Gray may have stopped.
Gray, a freshman from Homewood, Alabama. Talking about Stacey Danley, Bo Jackson visited this campus last week. He had his 10 days off between baseball and football. Still comes back here, has a home here. He's made comments in the past to Danley. James Joseph, the other back, on the reception to the 32. It'll set up 3rd and about 5 for Auburn. Osbury, Burge Osbury, another linebacker for LSU, makes the tackle. Bo Jackson has been on the sidelines at the Sugar Bowl the last couple of years and told Danley a couple of years ago in a locker room, says, cover up that football. I think you're going to remember it when you're a young running back and you got a Bo Jackson, Heisman Trophy winner.
Bo knows that, yeah.
Superstar. Yeah, Bo knows about holding on, right?
Yeah.
Danley, there he is, picks up the first down, showing a nice burst of speed to the 39-yard line.
But a nice call there by Reggie Slack. 3rd and 5. The first time they actually ran the ball on a passing down. They ran the draw play. A huge hole there for Danley to pick his way for about 7.
How about Clemson, Georgia Tech today? A lot of people might not be aware of it, but there's never been a real liking between Bobby Ross, the coach at Georgia Tech, Danny Ford, the coach at Clemson. It goes back to their days when Ross was the coach at Maryland. They had some fights, those two teams. One year, the two coaches had the coach from the press box. Today, Bobby Ross wins at Death Valley. Alex Strong in the backfield. And getting carry here is Joseph. That was a first down carry by James Joseph, and LSU right on it, including Lawrence again. Oliver Lawrence.
Well, you know, the amazing thing about Lawrence is when you're a coach trying to coach against an outside linebacker who's having a big day rushing the ball, or rushing the passer, you think, hey, if he's that quick off the corner, he can't be strong against the run. Well, he showed you there that he is. He's done both well today.
2nd down and 10. 3 receivers. Delay give to Danley. Danley a good run. Out to the 46-yard line. Tackled by Boutte. But about 2 yards short of the first down. Danley now 13 carries for 70 yards. We're in Auburn, Alabama. and an SEC survival test for both LSU and Auburn. Each team straddled with an early conference loss. LSU a week ago, controversial finish to Florida. Last-second field goal, the Gators winning in Baton Rouge, and Auburn's loss to Tennessee 2 weeks ago in Knoxville. Third down, we'll call it 3. Slack's going to go for it up top. He has it. Danley at the 45 of LSU.
And that is a nice play by Reggie Slack and Stacy Danley. It's the same pattern, Jim, we said early in the game was going to be wide open all day just because of the drop of the linebackers of LSU. Even with the play-action fake, those inside linebackers get very deep. And then Danley just drops over right where they go deep for the easy catch and first down.
Reggie Slack, the poised signal caller for Auburn, leading the conference in passing. 1st and 10. He throws again to Danley, and it's a gain of 5. Holding on with the tackle was David Walkup. They say he's the most pleasant surprise on defense this year, David Walkup, a freshman from the Woodlands in Texas.
Again, good protection here for by Meeks, number 70, for Reggie Slack. And again, one more time, they come right to that same pattern. And I love to see that if you have some success, keep coming back to it until they take it away.
2nd down and 5. Joseph on the carry, breaking one tackle and not getting away from Carl Dunbar. Carl Dunbar, really kind of a self-made player. Dunbar came in with no speed at all. He's improved it through aerobics classes, karate classes. Senior from Opelousas, Louisiana, number 63, Dunbar.
He's one of those guys who doesn't save anything for the 4th quarter. He plays hard all game, every down. Doesn't take any vacations like some defensive linemen can and do.
Big 3rd down play for Auburn. LSU almost jumped, no flags. Danley gets the first down.
How about the block by Brad Johnson, number 52, Jim, the guard who pulled and led the sweep there for Danley. Number 52 right there, Brad Johnson. He is right. And watch the way he's going to pull out and just squash a guy out here, and then Danley cuts off that block. Danley rushed this one a little bit. Nice pull, gets good depth. He's just looking for somebody to knock down. Runs right over the defensive back, and if there was some more separation between him and Danley, that would have been a larger gain.
Alex Strong, the fullback now for Auburn. 1st and 10. Joseph, the tailback. Play action fake to Joseph. Slack's pass, intercepted. Walkup. David Walkup. The freshman surprise. Walkup making a leaping interception at the 15-yard line.
Well, most inside linebackers, Jim, aren't great athletes, but Walkup is. In high school, he played baseball, he played basketball, he played football. He's a real flexible guy that can move around inside. He's right here. Number 85, play action fake. This time he steps up. Then he goes back. Reads the eyes of Slack, and then makes a nice catch. He did 3 or 4 different things well there on that play.
Slack was trying to go to Alexander Wright before Walkup jumps in front. It's the 2nd turnover of the day for Auburn. LSU has not turned it over.
That is really a nice play. It's John Fonts, the inside linebacker coach. But what he did is he stepped up on the play action, but still got back.
John Fonts, the brother of Detroit Lions head coach Wayne Fonts. He's gotten great play today out of these linebackers. Walkup, Lawrence, Osbury, and Ventris. Eddie Fuller gets the carry.
And then reach him on him. Wait a minute now. The strong safety, let the strong safety come from outside 5. I am going to be, once this fullback fills, I see outside the tackle foul. I'm going to be inside out of the ball, not out here where I can get the cutback lane. All right? You played it perfectly. But the strong safety came inside and he came outside. Relax.
2nd and 6 for LSU after the 4-yard gain by Fuller. 3 minutes left in the third quarter, tied 3-3. Fuller again. Riggins wraps him up, and Fuller falls at the 22-yard line.
Jim, 2:50 left in the third quarter, and it's now third and about 4 or 5 yards for LSU. A very important down for the Auburn defense. They really want to stuff them here and force the punt to give Reggie Slack another chance and give him some decent field position.
LSU has not allowed Auburn in the end zone, and now what, 7 quarters? Last year, all Auburn could manage field goals in that LSU victory. Third down and 3. Victor Jones, the lone setback. Hodson's going to throw for it. If he gets the time, gets away from Rogers. Now Billingsley after him. The pass caught by Tony Moss, and a gain of 15.
Well, you don't think of Tommy Hodson as a guy with a lot of foot speed, but he's got just enough athletic ability to scramble around and buy himself a second chance. Good protection there by the 3 inside linemen. But number 91, Rogers, forces him out of the pocket, trying to outrun Billingsley. And then again, what Moss does a great job of is coming back to the football. Doesn't hang Hodson up to dry.
Oh, what a feeling for Mike Archer and LSU, and a first down at the 37. Time for Hodson. Oh, and Fuller kind of tripped up his own feet. Got tripped up. He was open across the middle at the 40 of Auburn.
Jim, that was the same route that Fuller caught for the touchdown last year against Auburn that beat him in the fourth quarter.
A pass that Hodson says the 500-plus completions in my career is the greatest of all. The pass that beat Auburn last year to Fuller.
And that amazing is only 12 yards, but it was the significance of the throw.
2nd and 10. Again, that touchdown last year prevented Auburn from playing for a possible national championship come bowl time. Fuller. No gain. Auburn instead played Florida State last year in the Sugar Bowl and lost to the Seminoles 13-7. LSU met Syracuse in the Hall of Fame Bowl last year, but these two were co-champions, and the Sugar Bowl committee has its choice which team it wants to bring to New Orleans, and they brought in Auburn because of the better overall record, even though LSU had beaten them. Here's a 3rd and 10 for Hodson. Hodson to Kinchin. First down for LSU at the 47-yard line of Auburn. 16-yard gain on the play to Baton Rouge's favorite son, Todd Kinchin.
There have been very high expectations for the last 2 years for Todd Kinchin, because when he gets his hands on the ball, he is an explosive player. And that ball was well thrown in between four different defenders.
Todd Kinchin, brother Brian, played for Miami Dolphins, tight end, all SEC here. His father played for LSU. First down, Hodson firing. Pass is caught by Halliburton across the middle, bobbled it for a moment, but he's down at the 27 of Auburn with 28 seconds left in the third quarter.
That is a great throw, because Ronnie Halliburton was not open very long. Hodson drilled it through some traffic, and because he gets rid of the ball so quickly, defensive backs don't have much time to react. That's what a quick release means. He was pretty well covered there by Crawford, and then the safety behind him, a small, tight area.
Halliburton takes the baggage down to the 27-yard line. 1st and 10. Fuller. Maybe the final play of the quarter. He gets to the 24-yard line. Tackled by Rocker and Crawford. Larry Young. That is the end of the third quarter. Still tied 3-3 between Auburn and LSU. This survival test will come down to the final 15 minutes. College football on CBS Sports returns after this message and a word from your local station.
CBS Sports coverage of today's CFA game is sponsored by Georgia Pacific Building Products. Ask for it. Magnavox, smart choices for smart people. Magnavox, smart, very smart. And by U.S. Navy. You are tomorrow. You are the Navy.
John Dockery, Jim Nance, Pat Hayden, and 85,000 folks here at Jordan Hare Stadium as we begin the fourth quarter, tied Auburn 3, LSU 3 at stake. The LSU, the SEC, staying in the battle, survival in the SEC. Fourth quarter game like this, you'd think that the Auburn defensive line would be tired, but their substitution prevents that. They rotate 6 men. On the other side of the field, LSU not as deep. You would think they'd be tired, but they've been bolstered by success here this afternoon, and they see a chance at victory, Jim Nance.
Well, Doc, LSU's nemesis this year has been the fourth quarter. 2nd and 7, the first snap of the final quarter. And Hodson, with pressure, goes down at the 35-yard line. Larry Young.
Well, Larry Young came right off the corner again. No tight end there. He goes right around him. He lines up wide of the tight end and runs right around 3 different blockers. 3 guys had a shot at him, but he burst in there so fast, no chance for Hodson.
A loss on the play of 8. What a day for number 99's here. 3rd down play, dumping it off to Fuller. Fuller steps out inside of the 25. David Browndyke will come out with a chance to kick a field goal and give LSU the lead.
So here, situation, Auburn has got some tall guys, including guys like John Wilson, 6'6". You want guys like that on the inside to get those big old paws up and try to knock one down.
Luke on the hold, 42-yard try for Browndyke. Placement is good. Kick is going to be perfect. And LSU leads. That's the longest of the year for Browndyke, 42 yards. He is still perfect on the season. He has not missed. He had the one miscue in the second quarter on a bad snap, but he never attempted the kick.
I'll tell you, Mook did a nice job again, Jimmy, because that was another knuckleball that came back to him. You know, holders, I think, have the toughest job really in college football. You don't get much credit, but he did a great job of putting that one down.
That was Browndyke's PAT, point after last year, that was the margin of victory after the touchdown pass from Hodson against Auburn. 7-6, and he now has them in front 6-3. Again tomorrow, NFL action heats up. NFC East, Redskins and Giants. Some will see 49ers Dallas. That Philadelphia-Phoenix game starts at 4 Eastern. Others will watch Green Bay, Minnesota, or Detroit against oncoming Tampa Bay. Check your local listings for the game and time in your area. But the NFL today gets it all started 12:30 Eastern time. We'll be hearing from Mike Lynn. Irv's out there with Herschel Walker. Will have the complete story on that massive trade this week between Dallas and Minnesota.
I mentioned 5 players and 7 draft picks.
12 for 1. Suarez will kick. Herbert Casey touched it. And it's down. That touchback. Impetus of the football carried it into the end zone. So it's a touchback. It was not a fumble. And the ball is at the 20.
Oh, Alabama. Yeah.
Now just in front. But it's in the 4th.
Well, Gary Hollingsworth, their quarterback, who came on in relief this year when Dunn got hurt, has done a marvelous job. They're averaging over 400 yards in offense.
Second in the conference in passing behind Reggie Slack, who steps to the line of scrimmage, about to take the snap from John Hudson. First 10 pass play, and it's caught by Hall. And a gain of 5 is all. Forward progress to the 25. The Dockster, John Dockery, with a report on the sideline. John?
Thank you, Jim Nance. I'm with Harvey Schiller, and Harvey, you will be leaving the SEC as commissioner. What happens in transition?
Well, this is subject to the approval of the U.S. Olympic Committee's board next week in Denver, and after that, I'll be around to provide an adequate transition. The time that job begins has not been determined yet, and we'll know more later.
Harvey, if you'd stay with me, we're going to go back upstairs and come on down. Jim?
2nd and 5 for Auburn. Pitch to Danley. Danley still on his feet, gets to the 28, and short of a first down by about 2 yards. Back to John Dockery.
Thank you, Jim. And Harvey, why the USOC job, a job you left before once?
Well, there were some personal things, and now is the right time. You can't look back, look forward. It's a great opportunity to serve the country in a very special way, and I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, well, good luck to you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
And, of course, we look forward to 92 in Albertville, 96, or 94, 94 in Lillehammer. When they start alternating the years for the Olympics every 2 years, winter and summer. 3rd and 2. Danley gets the call in the first to the 35-yard line. Babacher makes the tackle, but it's an Auburn first down.
And what Stacy Danley did a nice job of following the blockers in front of him. Very patient run there by Danley. All right, Hodson and the boys. There's Tommy Hodson.
Sounds like a little country and western band, doesn't it?
I think he means his offensive lineman, maybe.
1st and 10 for Auburn from the 35. Slack looking to go along. Alexander Wright was bumped out of bounds. A little bump there near midfield, and Wright, once he turned it on, wasn't able to catch up. Should that have been a penalty, you think, Pat?
Oh, it is. They threw a flag. It was pass interference, and it was beautifully set up. And Reggie Slack, they set this play up by running a couple of out routes earlier in the game, and that time it was the out and up. And the key here is when he, watch, he's going to fake the out and then cut up. But the key is when he breaks the out, the quarterback's got to fake the throw. The timing on the fake, right? There's the fake, then he goes up top. And he had fooled Williams, but Williams really did the right thing. He prevented a touchdown by pushing the man out of bounds and causing the interference.
You think Wright would have gone all the way? Do you think he would have been there?
I think
like Babacher was coming over.
No, I think he would have. Remember, Alexander Wright's got unbelievable speed, and had he not gotten bumped, I think he would have caught that one in full stride.
They went last year deep to Alexander Wright on Jimmy Young, and the pass was underthrown. And the coaching staff this year at Auburn thought they could get that pass completed today. Danley, maybe a yard gain. Auburn is in LSU territory with 11:58 left in the game, trailing 6-3.
Well, these LSU linebackers have done a sensational job today. Including that are 3 sacks by Oliver Lawrence.
Walk up with the interception.
Yeah. That also means the down linemen, Jim, have done a nice job, too, keeping people away from those linebackers.
That's Clint James, Boutte, and Dunbar up front for LSU. Slack's pass. Alexander Wright, incomplete. Had it in his hands, couldn't hold on, had contact at the 32. Robbie Green was the man with the contact. LSU has been in every ball game this year, but comes in with a 1-3 record. 1-3, but had a chance in the 3 losses in the 4th quarter. Trailing A&M at one point, Texas A&M in the opener, 14-10. Leading Florida State at one point, and then tied last week against Florida. They have not come up with the big play in the final period.
And we talked about leadership from the beginning of the show, and now it's time for Reggie Slack to step forward and help his team win this game.
With 4 receivers, he runs it on 3rd and 9, and Danley won't get it. He's tackled at the 45-yard line. Oliver Lawrence. Osbury on the tackle as well. So Dickinson will punt.
Boy, a surprise call on 3rd and 10. That's a long way to go. They had some success running the draw on 3rd and 5, but 3rd and 10 is a long way to go.
Dickinson. No one coming in. Fair catch is made by Jimmy Young at the 10-yard line. It's a 35-yard punt by Dickinson. LSU has the football and the lead. Well, in this low-scoring defensive struggle, 6-3 LSU leading. The game summary, pretty even on the yardage. Lyle has the field goal for Auburn. Browndyke, both of the field goals, of course, 2 for 2 today. And he has the scoring difference at the moment. Mike Archer's team, knowing that could still, even with the 3 losses, win the conference. The last 7 games on LSU's schedule against teams they had beaten last year. Egloff in the backfield with Wyndham. On 1st and 10, Wyndham. Calvin Wyndham, junior from Orlando, gets to the 13-yard line.
And now it's time for the leaders of this Auburn defense, again, searching for that personality, that attitude. The inside linebackers, guys like Quentin Riggins and Craig Ogletree on the outside. And Quentin Riggins has to step forward as he calls these defensive signals and get his guys ready to stop them and force the punt.
Barbecue, Walter Tate back in at nose tackle, number 76 for Auburn. 2nd down and 7, we'll call it, for LSU. Wyndham again on the carry, about 2 yards short of the 1st down. We're coming at the 10-minute mark left in this game. You cannot win the SEC with 2 losses. You look back at history, 35 times the champion went through unscathed. 7 times with just a tie, 12 times with a loss, and 1 time a team won it, the SEC, with a loss and a tie, but never with 2 losses. And the loser today, for all intents and purposes, eliminated. On 3rd and 2, Wyndham will not get it. That's Darrell Crawford pointing at the bench. He came up with an interception, fumble recovery, and blocked the point after last week in a win against Kentucky.
He has all kinds of ability. Great athlete inside who can run and tip balls, make tackles, play tough inside.
Rene Bourgeois, one of those Cajun names, kicks it away. Wow. Boy, did he catch that one. Wasden all the way back to his 27-yard line. Putting together a good return. Klavacher makes the tackle. Tell you what, when you kick one 54 yards, some might say you outkicked your coverage, but what a great return it was by Wasden. It was really Wasden because LSU had a chance at him, but he runs it back 35 yards all the way to the LSU 37-yard line. Slack rolling left, hitting Joseph, and out of bounds at the 31. So those that have just joined us, you enter a game that again will eliminate one of last year's co-champions in the SEC, Auburn and LSU, with Auburn scoring first on a field goal by Win Lyle. Browndyke tied it in the 2nd quarter with his field goal, and now LSU takes the lead on another Browndyke kick here in the 4th. 6-3, 12th ranked Auburn has the football, trailing with 8:40 left in the contest. 2nd down, here's the run by Danley, inside of the 20 to the 17-yard line. 14 yards.
And Jim, this is the kind of game an offensive lineman loves. It's a 6-3 ball game. And watch these guys as they just take one-on-one and block their men. Nothing fancy here about this LSU defense. John Hudson, number 66, the center, isolates his man, and Danley just runs right off him.
Danley is over 100 yards. He watched the tape this week of last year's game, called it an extra source of motivation because he felt like he'd been stopped last year at LSU. Here he goes again, Danley, this time for maybe 2 yards. Craig Norris on that side making the tackle for LSU. Clemson, 14th ranked, already has lost today. And another upset in the making at Arizona. All over UCLA. Miami continues to roll.
And if you are an Auburn fan, you have to be thinking a touchdown here. You want to make this a 4-point game with 7:45 remaining.
Each team with all 3 timeouts remaining. Halfway through the 4th. 2nd down and 9. Danley to the 13. Tackled by Clint James.
Now this down right here is could very well eliminate one of these teams in the SEC race. 3rd and 5. And again, this is the area of the field that's very tough to gain any yards against Mike Archer's defense.
This is Auburn's deepest penetration since their opening drive at the top of this game. Crowd on its feet on 3rd and 5 and a timeout called by Auburn. Now Auburn will talk it over, trailing by a field goal just inside of 7 minutes left. 6:57 left in the game. 12th ranked Auburn trailing LSU 6-3. It's a must-win game for each team. These two tied last year for the Southeastern Conference title. The loser today will see their hopes erased for a repeat. 3rd and 5 for Auburn.
Biggest play for their offense this year.
Sprinting out right. Slack. Complete to Hall. And he's out of bounds at the 1-yard line.
Leadership is about bringing your team from behind when you need to for an SEC championship possibility. A tremendous call by the Auburn team. And I thought actually that ball actually crossed the plane, but they rolled him out, and Victor Hall was wide open.
Just inches short. The give is to Teapot Brown. Into the pile. He does not cross the goal line. Pat Dye's first win as an SEC coach was against LSU in 1981. These two did not meet again until last year in Baton Rouge, when Mike Archer's defense did not allow Auburn into the end zone. It has been now 7.5 quarters. Auburn still looking for its first touchdown against these LSU Tigers. They've got their chance on 2nd and goal. Danley has it. Touchdown Auburn. Now the extra point. Lyle's kick is good. A flag is down. Flag is down at the line of scrimmage. This 7-play drive set up by the terrific return by Shane Wasden. Punt return. Offsides, the signal against LSU.
You know what Stacey Danley does such a nice job and has done today is following the block of number 67, Ed King. Ed King, the left guard right there, just blows Lawrence, number 99, out of the way, and Danley cuts in right behind that block for the score. That's a nice read.
Minutes, 7 seconds left for Tommy Hodson at LSU to respond. Auburn has taken the lead, 10-6. Touchdown run by Stacey Danley.
And the important thing there, Jim, was they got the ball into the end zone and made it a 4-point game, so it's going to be a touchdown it's going to take to beat them.
Put you right inside the helmet.
Always wanted to break the wedge, didn't you?
Von Wiles kick to Wyndham at the 9 and down at the 20.
It was Shane Wasden's punt return that set up the touchdown, and this is all determination. He broke about 5 tackles. And remember, special teams should win 2 ball games a year for you. Shane Wasden may have helped his team today. And watch Ed King, number 67, as he comes out and crunches Oliver, the outside linebacker. Gets nice and deep on the pole so he didn't get caught up, and then Danley follows that block into the end zone. That's a great pull.
From right at the 20, 1st and 10 for LSU. A pitch to Fuller. No gain. Ogletree on the tackle. And David Rocker
5 minutes and 52 seconds remaining, and again, the freshness of this Auburn defense, and Wayne Hall, as he substitutes his guys in that interior line, is going to make a big difference in the last 5 minutes.
Tommy Hodson has been in this situation before against Auburn. We've talked about it all day. That last quarter drive and the winning touchdown pass last year. Ogletree comes piling in.
Oh, man. Right over Andy Martin.
Before the ball was snapped, it had movement in the offensive line, 5-yard penalty, still second down.
And that is just crowd noise, Jim. This crowd is into this game right now. And here's where a quarterback oftentimes has to use hand signals to make any audibles.
2nd and 15. Looking from behind, Victor Jones lining up behind Hodson. Hodson for Kinchin, first down LSU. He fumbled. He fumbled the football. LSU recovered.
And boy, did John Wiley, the free safety, put a hit on Kinchin. Watch number 9. He is the free safety. Again, Hodson drills this ball. This is a beautiful throw and a nice catch. But right there, number 9 puts his helmet right on the ball. And there's 4 hustling blue jerseys around it.
But Halliburton, Ronnie Halliburton, came up to make the recovery. And it's a first down for LSU inside of 5 minutes. Victor Jones rumbles for 5. We've got an update. Let's check it out with Greg Gumbel in New York. Greg?
Jim, at College Station, Texas, Texas A&M has gone on top of Houston 14-7. Robert Wilson 41 yards, and the A&M defense clamping down on Andre Ware and the Houston offense. Let's go back to Jim and Pat.
All right, Greg, that was team Texas A&M that handed Houston one of only 2 regular season losses a year ago. 2nd down and 6 for Mike Archer's gang. 3 receivers under pressure. Hodson throws it short. Kinchin, the intended receiver. Coming in was Lamar Rogers on Hodson.
Lamar Rogers got off the ball again so quickly. His first step is amazing. He gobbles up maybe 5 yards on that first step as he gets upfield.
3rd and 6. Coaches at LSU told us this week Tommy Hodson has that Jerry West mentality. I want the ball in the last seconds. I like the 4th down.
And protection is the key on this play.
This is a 3rd down play. 3rd and 6. And he doesn't get that protection. It's actually Darrell Crawford who hit him first. And with all 3 timeouts left, 3:40 on the clock, LSU will punt.
This is a team that was struggling for leadership. And they're getting it from this 4th quarter from some guys on their defense and from Reggie Slack.
Auburn has called a timeout, leaving Auburn with 1. Again, LSU has all 3 timeouts left. Will punt the ball away, trailing in the final 3.5 minutes. Offensive line congregating on the sideline and hoping to get the football back one more time. Protection broke down. Hodson was dropped, and LSU will punt with 3:34 left. Auburn leading 10-6. Bourgeois again gets a good one away. Wasden, fair catch at the 20. A 49-yard punt by Bourgeois. And tomorrow, the NFL Today gets it started for us, 12:30 Eastern Time, and then regional coverage. most of you will see early, Redskins against the Giants, or 49ers Dallas. That Philadelphia-Phoenix game is a 4 o'clock Eastern starting time for people of local interest. And it all starts again with the NFL today with the latest on the Herschel Walker deal. 3:26 left. 1st and 10 Auburn. James Joseph. And a gain of 2. Ventress with the tackle.
The strategy here obviously is for Auburn to use as much of the clock as they can. LSU with 3 of those timeouts may have to use some of them here early to give their offense a chance. But this is an offensive and defensive lineman's game right now. The defensive front from LSU has got to stuff them. And if the offensive line can just grind out a few first downs, they win the ball game.
2nd down 8. Now back in the eye, Danley to tailback. Pitch, Danley, a loss of a yard. Juan Sendoya, a freshman from Miami, makes the tackle. Tommy Hodson, all he wants is one more try. One more try. LSU takes its first time out. 3rd down coming up for Auburn.
Auburn leads by 4, and at the top of the show we talked about the quarterbacks and the leadership that the coaches had hoped to get from the quarterbacks. Reggie Slack, right now the ball in his hands. Pat Dye said to him, keep it on the ground, move the ball, get a first down. On the other side of the field, as we said at the top of the show, it would be on Tommy Hodson's shoulders. He waits for one more chance. Pat and Jim.
3rd and 9, and this play could very well determine if Hodson gets his second chance. What's the play here, Pat? You have any suspicion?
Well, they're going to keep it on the ground. It's going to be a draw play. Otherwise, they had some success throwing the ball to the tight end.
Well, rolling out. Slack's got all kinds of room. He's got the first down and stays inside the boundary, picking up the first down at the 45-yard line. A gain of 25.
And give Pat Dye and his staff some credit. This is a wonderful call. They ran the bootleg earlier, and they threw the ball to the tight end. This time he had the tight end again open, Chris Gray. After the play-action fake, number 86 is the receiver he has open, but Reggie Slack decides to do it by himself. And you just can't defend that man. He's got such good foot speed, and he can turn a negative play into a positive one.
And that's the longest run from scrimmage today, 25 yards. James Joseph picks up 6 on the first down carry. Now LSU with 2 timeouts will burn another one. After our game, we'll be giving you a complete recap on all of today's action. LSU with only 1 timeout left. At the conclusion of today's CBS Sports College Football broadcast, we will select a Chevrolet Most Valuable Player of the Game from each team. Chevrolet donates a $1,000 scholarship to the General Scholarship Fund of each school. 2 minutes, 5 seconds left. Auburn 2nd and 4 from the LSU 49-yard line and leading 10-6. Only 1 timeout left for LSU. Joseph cut under, maybe a yard gain. Verge Ausberry on the tackle. And now LSU calls its last timeout with 1:57 on the clock. So no timeouts left, and it'll be 3rd and 3. 3rd and 3 for Auburn. Greg Gumbel will be joining us, scores and highlights, at the conclusion.
Boy, big day in college football and some surprise games today. I'm sure Greg's going to tell us about those. But I'd say Mike Archer, right here, he said to us this week the difference between being 1 and 3 and perhaps 4-0 is we have not made the big plays in the 4th quarter. And again, his defense there, when they let Reggie Slack to the outside, didn't do it again.
Will they have a chance for that elusive big play? We'll find out on 3rd and 3. You see Alabama's victory today, a struggle, but a win, and Alabama's still unbeaten. Next week we'll face unbeaten Tennessee.
Maybe one of the best defensive teams in Tennessee that I've seen, followed by USC and Notre Dame.
You played in a few of those.
Oh, boy, yeah, those were always fun games. Tough back there in South Bend.
That'll be at South Bend. And now, for LSU to have any chance at all, they must stop Auburn here on 3rd and 3. Danley. He has the first down. Danley, 24 carries for 117 yards and a touchdown, and he picks up the first down at the 43 of LSU.
And he picked it up because he got a great block from his tight end, Victor Hall, and followed that block again. Did a beautiful job of reading blocks.
A snap, a knee. The clock continues to roll. Auburn next week will play at Florida State. A very hostile group now after the 2 opening losses. This was football Southeastern Conference style today, folks. John Wiley saying we're not dead yet.
A long way from it. Remember, John Wiley was the guy who called that team meeting this past Tuesday. Asked some guys to step forward and be leaders.
John Wiley said we are not playing with enough emotion. There was emotion, plenty of it today, both sides of the field.
That's 4 tough losses for Mike Archer, too.
We ain't happy yet. What's up, bro? I mean, you know, Bill McCall. What's up, bro?
Procedure penalty on that last play against Auburn. Clock stopped with 43 seconds left.
You know, for seniors on that LSU team, this is a tough loss. Your last shot at getting to your Sugar Bowl, the game that you dream about all year long.
It is 3rd down. 3rd and 19. Now the clock running. The exchange, Hudson to Slack, down on a knee, and that should do it. Pat Dye's 75th win as the Auburn football coach. He's taken them to 7 straight bowls, 5 of which have rested on New Year's Day. He still believes his team has a shot at going back to the Sugar Bowl. And they helped their cause greatly with a win today. We go to John Dockery.
Great job, John. Coach, you talked about finding out about the character of your football team, the personalities. What did today tell you?
Well, there's no doubt that this football team came a lot closer together today. And that's the thing that you know, that you look at for as a head football coach. There's not a lot that you could do as far as, you know, the kids, and we're going to make mistakes, and it's not going to all be perfect just like we'd like for it to be. But the thing that today they showed a lot of character and a lot of poise, and they never broke when and this football team hadn't had something like this happen to them today. And so it should be a great confidence builder for them. Still got a long ways to go to be a good football team. We're playing a lot of young people, and I think we'll be better as a result of what happened today.
Coach, did you find some leaders you were looking for?
Yeah, well, I think so. We got obviously we got good leadership defensively from Craig Ogletree and Quentin Regan, David Rocker, John Wiley, a lot of positive things there. And offensively, of course, you know, Richie at the end of the ball game came back and gave us a big play, and I'm good.
So Auburn now 4-1 on the year, and now 2-1 in the SEC with victories over Kentucky and today 10-6. defeating LSU. It's time for all the stories today in college football, and for that, we send you back to New York and Greg Gumbel. Greg?